Okay, here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, 1, action.
Assume nothing.
Brash, bald-faced blasphemy.
Question everything.
I find it extremely hard to imagine.
Open your eyes.
It is quite all right to be an atheist.
The fastest growing group of people in the country has been measured as being those who have no belief or who are atheists.
You don't have to be apologetic or quiet about it.
Challenge the opposition.
You see religion on 100 fronts losing the argument.
And start thinking. This is The Thinking Atheist Worldwide.
Our broadcast today is brought to you by NatureBox. NatureBox ships tasty and guilt-free snacks right to your door with over 100 flavors to choose from, like the jalapeno white cheddar popcorn, lemon tea biscuits, apple cinnamon crunch, and more. You'll never get bored of snacking again. Try NatureBox for free. Just go to naturebox.com/thinkingatheist. naturebox.com/thinkingatheist. If I can digress for just a second, I've been following with amusement the comments of those on my Facebook page when I went forward and I told them that, the new J.J. Abrams Star Wars flick is coming out in December, and I'm actually kind of excited about it. And that's weird because I have been less than thrilled with the Star Wars films of late. And I'm looking at the new trailer with Han and Chewie at the end, and I'm getting excited about it. And so I'm talking to Natalie. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got to go. And she admitted to me while we were driving in the car that she had never seen, quote, the Star Wars. And I felt every cell in my body almost explode. First of all, it's not the Star Wars. It's Star Wars, okay? Star Wars. And you've never seen Star Wars? What have you been doing hard time or something? I mean, where you been? What's going on? So I've decided I'm going to baptize her into the goodness that is the original Star Wars films from the late 70s and early 80s. The challenge has been George Lucas, in his infinite wisdom, sort of locked up the originals, right? Not the digitally enhanced versions, but the originals, and declared, a few years ago anyway, that they were no longer available or even no longer in existence, I think, which is just a tragedy. And it's total bullshit. There's no way he digitized the originals so that he could enhance them and then destroyed the digital originals. That's just crap. They exist or existed. But he wouldn't make them available, and it's become a point of ire for those of us who are Star Wars fans. Well, I'm not going to show Natalie the digitally enhanced versions. It's not Star Wars. That's not Star Wars. I want to show her the originals. And so I went online and I was lamenting this. And someone told me that Disney, since they bought the Star Wars franchise, is now making the originals available to the public so that people can finally go back and watch the films they fell in love with in their youth. And so I've been navigating that. I'm trying to locate the original Star Wars, and then we are going to find a weekend. And for 3 consecutive nights, we're going to lower the lights. We're going to pop the popcorn. We're going to turn off our phones. We're going to lock out the exterior world. And she is going to experience not the Star Wars, Star Wars. Now, here's the other challenge, is that trilogy in that particular time period was lightning in a bottle. It just hit at the right time. It was a cultural thing. The landscape of the world has really changed since then. Our attitudes and approaches to films and special effects and storytelling has changed a little bit. It's a different culture. It's a different time. There's no way I'm going to be able to create for her the magic that was that day back in 1977 when my father took me to the South Road Cinema. It was one theater. The whole theater was just one big screen, and we sat down and experience Star Wars for the first time. It's that day has passed. She'll never know what it's like, and it grieves me a little bit. I hurt in my heart that she missed out on this, but I'm going to do my best to try to recreate it. And then fingers crossed for the J.J. Abrams version, which is coming out in December of this year. I have high hopes. I think he's a good storyteller. Not a perfect storyteller, but I think he's a good storyteller and worlds beyond George Lucas in terms of developing characters and relating to an audience and even a culture. I mean, J.J. Abrams seems to tap into what people really want to feel and see when they look at their beloved franchises. I thought he did a fine job with the Star Trek franchise as well. Anyway, huge digression, but I had to vent. One does not debase the great name of Star Wars like that. So anyway, she looks at me like I'm nuts. And, she doesn't get Mad Max either. I'm a big fan of The Road Warrior, and the new Mad Max film with Tom Hardy's coming out. I'm totally jazzed about that. George Miller directing, I'm in. I will be there. She has no idea why I'm so excited. And I fear that if I take her, not being familiar with or really even interested in, the phenomenon that was The Road Warrior, which is a near perfect film, by the way. I'm trying to tell her about the humongous, and she just doesn't get it. She thinks I'm being dirty. Honey, you need to let me tell you about the humongous. Oh, God. It's just welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. Tonight's kind of a lighthearted night, for which I am thankful. From time to time, it's good to just break away and have some fun. We will talk a little religion tonight because some of the sites we're going to cover are religious websites. Other than that, it's just random. The weirdest websites in the world. I'm sure this is just a tip of the iceberg, but just some fun stuff that's been submitted by our listeners. And so I'll share them with you. You can go check them out if you'd like. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll kick it off in just a second. For the past several months, I've been kind of working on getting leaner, right? And getting healthier, trying to get myself back in the game. I saw myself on video at a PastaCon last year, and I just knew it was time to make a change. And so I have done so in my life. And I've been, working with a trainer, and I've been trying to just sort of be healthier. I'm going to be 50 in just a few years, for Pete's sake. And so the meals themselves, the healthier meals, have not really been the hardest part for me. It was the snacking between the meals. It was really tough. And for me, Nature Box has been a really good solution. Instead of the bag of potato chips or something off a convenience store candy counter, I can maintain, right? I can get some Big Island pineapple. I'm a huge fan of the roasted Peruvian corn kernels, the Santa Fe corn sticks, the banana bread granola is delicious. They taste great. Better for me, no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, no trans fats, no high fructose corn syrup. They're hugely convenient. I just set up my online pantry. NatureBox just ships everything right to me. And I'm so thankful for their support of this show. If you want to try them out, NatureBox is offering a free trial box of their most popular snacks. You can just log on right now to naturebox.com/thinkingatheist. naturebox.com/thinkingatheist. The first website I want to talk about tonight is actually not one of our quote-unquote weird websites. It was submitted by one of our listeners as a resource in case we wanted to go and visit some of these places without actually being tracked or giving the site credit for our visit. Because many of those, as they get increased visits, they get a higher ranking in search engines. So if you and I are doing a show on some wacky website that we really doesn't think have any credibility at all, we're just going by and looking like we look at a car accident, right? But we don't want to give them legitimacy. DoNotLink.com is a hub that you can visit the websites through, and they don't get the Google credit, and they're not able to track you like they normally would. Anyway, I haven't really used it, but it's a resource. It's DoNotLink.com, so if we see a dubious site, we might be able to use it to sort of funnel our way into the back door and go take a look. I wanted to start the broadcast with a personal favorite of mine. So I'm going to start with my submission. I hope that's not presumptuous, but I've known about this site for years and years and years and years and years. The website is called MikeTheHeadlessChicken.org. And here's the story. which is pitched, by the way, with a totally straight face. On a California chicken ranch in September of 1945, there was a guy named Lloyd Olson. He went out to find a rooster for that day's meal, and he decapitated the bird with an axe right at the top end of the neck, okay? According to because some people, I guess, like to eat the neck. According to the website, the chicken's headless body returned to walking around, pecking at the ground, preening its feathers like other chickens, and acting like nothing had changed. Lloyd was astonished, and he decided that this chicken was something special. And so he packed up the chicken, and he drove his headless body and the head in a jar to the University of Utah in Salt Lake City, where it was determined the axe blade had missed the jugular and a clot prevented the bird from bleeding out. So most of Mike's head was there in a jar, but most of the brain stem remained. And as most of a chicken's reflex actions originate from the brain stem, Mike the headless chicken remained alive. Despite the fact that he didn't have a head, he was quite healthy. He lived, according to legend, he lived for 18 months. He just sitting out there with no head, pecking at the ground. I'm sorry. And such he became a legend. He's also known as Miracle Mike. I shit you not. There are photographs on the website. There's an annual event held in his honor. It's the Mike the Headless Chicken Festival. And every third weekend in May, this party happens. Mike's got a Facebook page. Mike the Headless Chicken has over 16,000 likes on Facebook. And I know you want to see this one. You can go to MikeTheHeadlessChicken.org. Let's go to the switchboard and see what our listeners have for us tonight. Area code 562. You're on the Thinking Atheist Radio podcast. Who's this?
Jeremy.
And you are submitting what website for the broadcast today?
Secretsofthefed.com.
Secrets of the Fed. And so we're talking about the Fed, federal government?
It appears so, yes.
What is this, like an Illuminati kind of thing? Like it's a puppet government and there's a larger organization behind the federal government pulling the strings, that kind of deal?
That's what it appears to be, yes. As soon as you click on the website, you're going to see the Illuminati feel, the conspiracy theory feel, right from the beginning.
So how did you stumble upon this thing? I mean, how did that happen?
Well, long story short is I was married previously, and I had a son with my ex-wife, and she was into the alternative, or still is into the alternative medicine movement, acupuncture, chiropractic, homeopathy, and things like that. And she'd always been extremely anti-vaccine. And at the time, I just defaulted to her judgment call on that. She did not want to vaccinate our son, and I just kind of defaulted and went with her decision. Since then, we got divorced, and I met my now wonderful wife, Amanda, and she asked me a simple question. She said, "Why didn't you vaccinate your son?" She didn't push. She didn't, do anything extreme. She asked the question, and I started to do some heavy research in it, and very easily discovered that there is no conspiracy. There's medicine that works, there's medicine that's proven, and that's helped humanity. And one of those amazing medical leaps forward was the invention of vaccinations. And so I started pushing my ex-wife to prove her point. Why are vaccines dangerous? I need research. I need you to show me something that will convince me that our son needs to remain unvaccinated and susceptible to these preventable diseases. And secretsofthefed.com was the very first website she ever sent me as evidence of why he should not be vaccinated.
That vaccines were part of a big conspiracy to infect the population?
That's part of it, a big conspiracy. She kind of falls prey to the idea of big pharma, that they're in it for profits, and it somehow causes autism and all these things that have been thoroughly debunked over and over and over. And she's just convinced that vaccines are harmful.
See a bunch of like new age websites where they're using, green tea and blue wallpaper to try to fight sickness. I mean, where was she getting her info? With just that one site, or was she on a bunch of other stuff?
Well, she also sent me, and you can see it today. I just jumped on secretsofthefed.com and I saw something about 98 million Americans infected with cancer through vaccines or something like this. And the article links to a website called naturalnews.com, who is run by a guy named Mike Adams, who is widely known in the medical profession as a total crackpot. And so naturalnews.com is one that she would also point to as evidence for the, harmful effects of vaccines, as well as Dr. Tenpenny. There's a whole slew of these people.
On the homepage of naturalnews.com, which I just have up here, one of the new headlines is, Dr. Oz has precisely the right level of wisdom and humility to move medicine forward. And that is enough to make you want to just close the tab and move on. But they use a lot of loaded terms like medical genocide and that kind of thing. They really believe that these large organizations are trying to poison us on purpose.
That's right.
I'm looking through the secrets of the Fed, Jeremy. They've got a whole section on 9/11. They've got a section about banking cartels. They've got a section called economic collapse. So apparently they're waiting for sort of the implosion of the United States. And probably if they're the kind of ilk that I've seen before, they're waiting to do battle against the military and their own government. They're probably amassing weapons and they've got a bunker somewhere, right? The preppers and whatnot. They've got a section on mind control. Holy cow.
Unbelievable.
Secretsofthefed.com. All right. Well, don your tinfoil hats, my friend, and visit the page at your own risk, because you just might facepalm yourself into the hospital. Jeremy, I'm glad you crawled your way out, man. I'm glad you found better answers at the end of those questions. And how your kids doing? Is everybody healthy? We doing well?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that very much, Seth. Yeah, my son's doing well. I actually had some sort of court intervention in order to get the vaccines that my son deserves. So that was really good. I'm very happy and pleased with the results of my new wife, Amanda's efforts. It was extremely stressful and took a lot of effort on our part, but my son's doing well, and he has all his vaccines up to date.
Amanda sounds like a keeper, man. You did great. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. I hope, I talk about you a lot to her, and so she sort of knows you a little bit through me.
Awesome. Jeremy, thanks for submitting the site, my friend. We'll spend a little time and go to Wooville a little later on tonight. Secretsofthefed.com. Take care of yourself, all right?
Thank you, Seth. Keep it up.
Claire sent me a message and said, hey, here's a great website. It's called catsthatlooklikehitler.com. All right, we got to see this one. Cats that look like Hitler.com. Okay. From the top of the website, it says this. Does your cat look like Adolf Hitler? Do you wake up in a cold sweat every night, wondering if he's going to up and invade Poland? Does he keep putting his right paw in the air while making a noise that sounds suspiciously like Sieg Meow? If so, this is the website for you. By the way, the website calls these cats Kittlers. If you're curious, it's catsthatlooklikehitler.com. Claire also sent another link called terriblerealestateagentphotos.com. The title, of course, is self-explanatory. You know how people put listings up for a home? And they always put up the most flattering photographs in an attempt to sell the property. Well, I guess there are some realtors who take some pictures of some really awful places and post them as is. Either they're totally shitted out, or they've got toys and crap all over the carpets, or they're just horrible photographs. There's a whole website dedicated to these, terriblerealestateagentphotos.com. If you are or you know a realtor, that might be a few easy laughs for you. This weird website was submitted by Aubrey. It is aftertherapturepetcare.com. Now, Aubrey, I had heard this referenced, and I thought it was a gag. Seems like Hemet Mehta did a speech about this in Florida last year where people thought it was legitimate, and in truth, it came out to be, or I don't know if it was this website or this organization. It was somebody somewhere who was offering to take care of people's pets after the rapture, and it turned out to be this big, elaborate hoax kind of a thing. But I looked at your website here. I looked at this site, and They're playing it totally straight. I don't know if it's a Poe or it's for real, but it exists. AfterTheRapturePetCare.com. The idea is that once the second coming takes place and Jesus comes with all the angels and the trumpet sounds, the Christians disappear. Holy shit, what's going to happen to Moo Moo and Fifi? What's going to happen to all the animals that they are caring for? They are left behind. So what they have done, and I kid you not, according to the website, what they have done is they have put together a team of volunteers who are not Christians, atheists, and other religions, people who will not get to go with Jesus. They hang back here, and they volunteer to take care of the animals and find them new homes. From the website's frequently asked questions page, isn't the world going to be totally collapsed after the rapture? And they answered, when all the Christians on the planet disappear, there will certainly be massive confusion. However, the majority of people will still be on Earth, and communications will be their first priority to maintain. Therefore, I believe it will not be a problem to coordinate activities to rescue and care for your pets. As far as the data about all registered pets, it's located on Google servers, the most secure servers in the world, as well as our own server in Lansing, Michigan, away from political and military hotspots, to minimize chance of destruction if there is a post-rapture war. The non-Christian administrators assigned to coordinate our efforts after we're gone are also located in multiple locations, all with login information. Now let's just go back and take a look at this. Because if this is true, and I don't know, if this site is absolutely straight, think of the implications. The implications are that God or Jesus, the greatest and most good and most just and loving creature in the universe ever, is just fine with rapturing your ass to heaven and allowing your cat to starve to death. Okay? You know what I'm saying? He hasn't made provision for your critters. So you have to go and hire atheists to take care of them after you are gone. Does no one see the irony in this particular scenario, right? The non-Christians and the atheists, well, they're volunteering their time. They're obviously animal lovers, and they're conscientious enough to get the job done and get it done right. Why are we not lauding the non-Christians for being awesome enough to take care of everybody's animals? And why are we not lampooning the Christians for saying bye-bye and totally disappearing? You essentially are abandoning your animals. If you walked out the door tomorrow and you didn't come back, you would probably end up in jail for animal abuse. If Jesus raptures you and you walk out or fly out the door and you don't come back, you're supposed to be considered a wonderful person. And it's the atheist who has to go in and feed and care for the animal. The irony is hugely thick. The website is worth a look. It's AfterTheRapturePetCare.com. And it is a doozy. Let's go to the switchboard real fast and talk to area code 207. You're on the Thinking Atheist Radio podcast. Who's this?
It's Jonathan from Maine.
Jonathan, we're talking about strange websites, the weirdest websites in the world. Do you have a submission for us today?
Yeah, actually, my buddies and I, where I used to work, when we'd have a rough day or if we just needed a laugh, we'd go to a website called English.com. I'm sorry, what is it? English.com. So it's basically English, but you replace the L with an R. English.com. And the gist of the website is what? What does it do? So basically it's pictures that people have taken. I think it's mostly like, businessmen and servicemen and stuff that are overseas in Asia, but they're interesting ways that the local country tries to translate their signs into English. Oh, I see. Yeah. It's, they've taken, is it Japanese, Chinese? I don't know. I get to a point where I can't really
tell the difference?
I think it's a little bit of everything. The only one I can usually pick up on is Korean because there's a lot of weird circles and stuff in it.
A lot of symbols, and so they translated those sentences or phrases or whatever into English, and the translations are often hysterically funny.
Sometimes it's just the way that the pronunciation gets translated, so,
Here's one that says, Kirchen, the thing of the kitchen. And I guess it's like a little kind of a Barbie kitchen set or something. The best toys for the children, and have a good time and keep you so clever. Oh, I could probably spend days on this website.
You kind of get the feeling that whoever was in charge of their marketing just took whatever the normal text would be in their language and just ran it through Google Translate and just printed whatever came out.
Dear customer, thank you for your shopping. If you feel we shipping time is taking a little long, if you feel we shipping cost is a little high, if you feel we item as described be little mistake, if you feel we communication have little misunderstandings, and then there's a whole other section.
Sometimes it kind of shows you some of the interesting things that pop up, too, over there that you might not see as often over here. Like you might see one where it's got a picture of a guy with his face near a toilet, and it'll say, please do not shave the toilet, or something like that.
Now, are all these real? Here's one that says, be fine, sexy. You shall never forget the beating of your hurt when you first, comma. Is that real, do you think, or do you think somebody's photoshopping some of this stuff and putting it up?
Seems legit to me.
The picture looks good.
It almost makes you wonder, like, if we have signs over here where we translate stuff into, like, Chinese or something, and then tourists come over from China and read them and are like, what are those Americans talking about?
Well, a lot of the people in our culture will take random Oriental symbols or characters and they'll make them into a T-shirt or a tattoo. And I guess it is happening overseas now. They'll just take a random English word and make it, it'll just say something like fritter or enjoy or, it's just some random word, and they'll just have it on a T-shirt because I guess it looks to them the way some of the Oriental characters look to us. It's just kind of a thing, Jonathan, thanks for bringing this to our attention.
Yeah, thanks, Seth. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show.
Josh sent in an email and said, when I heard your call for submissions for crazy websites, I wanted to pass along a funny little bit of internet lore that I think has mostly been forgotten. It's not really a website per se, but a recounting. I think the best one is on Wikipedia of someone who popped up on internet message boards in 2000 and 2001, claiming to be a time traveler from the year 2036. He said his name was John Titor, Titor, I guess I'm saying it right. He said he was sent back to 1975 to obtain an IBM 5100 computer because computers of the future were based on that model, and they needed to be debugged. He claimed that in the future, the U.S. would wage another civil war, which would start in 2004. Oops. The result of that war would cause the U.S. to break up into 5 smaller region states. I won't get into too much more because I'd love for you to read through the Wikipedia page and give your reactions on air. He gave me the link, John Titor on Wikipedia. John Titor is the name used on bulletin boards, blah, 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 made predictions about events in the near future. He's been discussed occasionally on the nationally syndicated radio show Coast to Coast AM. Well, that explains a lot. And for those who don't know what Coast to Coast is, it's a radio show that was once hosted by Art Bell. I don't know if Art Bell's on the show or even still alive. But Art Bell and Coast to Coast is a magnet for UFO sightings and, the Illuminati and conspiracy and supernatural activity and pseudoscience and just crazy shit. And to this day, I have no idea if the producers of Coast to Coast actually believe any of this stuff. Art Bell, I have no idea. I always got the impression that Art was he was a savvy businessman, right? He was winking at everybody and laughing all the way to the bank while thousands of people tuned in to talk about all these weird conspiracies in Area 51 and who knows what else. And he's had some crazy stuff on his show. And Coast to Coast, I guess, is still on the radio or broadcasting somewhere. You can Google it and find out. Let's see. Titor described his time machine. He described it as a stationary mass temporal displacement unit powered by two top-spin dual positive singularities. Well, of course. I mean, what else are you going to use, right? Two magnetic housing units for dual microsingularities. There's some other stuff here about gravity sensors, cesium clocks, and X-ray venting system. The device was installed in the rear of a 1967 Chevrolet Corvette convertible, and later he moved it to a truck that had four-wheel drive. Because when you're traveling through time, you definitely need the extra traction. There's a whole page on it here. I'm not going to take the time. I guess there's also a website in John's honor called johntitor.com. If you get bored, you can go and take a look at it. johntitor.com. Jessica said, I've got a friend whose mentally ill adult daughter has been missing for more than a year and a half. The police have not been cooperative because they don't care about adult women with troubled backgrounds. There's a small grassroots community of people who are trying to help my friend contact the people who can help her or whatever other way we can help. Well, tonight, someone suggested a forensic astrologer. And there's a website called astrologyincrime.com. Jessica says, I've never heard of this before, and if it weren't in the context of a missing person who's a real human, I would laugh. But my friend, she's having a very hard time. Her daughter could have been murdered or something else terrible, or perhaps she's alive but sick. It seems really disgusting for someone to tell a parent of a mentally ill person that a snake oil salesman can mumbo-jumbo some ghost whispers out of star charts that will actually lend reliable factual information. I'm not angry or upset, but it is upsetting these people exploit the emotions of someone else's life. What really gets me is it says on the site it is pseudoscience, yet this woman volunteers to help loved ones who have missing children. Just the idea of forensic astrology. And the website is almost unreadable. It makes no sense. Sentences like, also in the first house is the risk of abduction with this overly trusting teenager, Natal de Janeiro, at 150-degree Leo conjunct her black moon Lilith, mean apogee 232-degree Leo, plus her namesake asteroid Marina, 309 Leo. Marina is her own weakest link. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Anyway, the website is astrologyincrime.com if you are interested. James sent in a message and he said, I'm sure you're aware of these guys, but for my money, it's hard to get much nuttier than the FlatEarthSociety.org. Not only is it simply batshit crazy, you get the added cognitive dissonance of realizing that 1/4 of the world would have to be in on the conspiracy for it to work. Well, I'd heard of the Flat Earth Society, and I hadn't really visited the site. I always figured it was a joke. I always thought, this is just a gag. I mean, yeah, we know there are a few people out there who are, right, who think the Earth is flat, but there can't be a Flat Earth Society. And I did some digging, and apparently there is a Flat Earth Society. There was an article about them in Live Science. They wrote this about the Flat Earth guys. First, a brief tour of the worldview of a flat earther. While writing off buckets of concrete evidence that Earth is spherical, they readily accept a laundry list of propositions that some would call ludicrous. The leading flat earther theory holds that Earth is a disk with the Arctic Circle in the center and Antarctica, a 150-foot wall of ice, around the rim. NASA employees, they say, guard this ice wall to prevent people from climbing over and falling off the disk. Earth's day and night cycle is explained by positing that the sun and moon are spheres measuring 32 miles, that move in circles 3,000 miles above the plane of the Earth. Stars, they say, move in a plane 3,100 miles up. Like spotlights, these celestial spheres illuminate different portions of the planet in a 24-hour cycle. Flat earthers believe there must also be an invisible anti-moon that obscures the moon during lunar eclipses. Furthermore, Earth's gravity is an illusion, they say. Objects do not accelerate downward. Instead, the disk of the Earth accelerates upward at 32 feet per second squared, driven up by a mysterious force called dark energy. Currently, there's disagreement among flat earthers about whether or not Einstein's theory of relativity permits Earth to accelerate upward indefinitely without the planet eventually surpassing the speed of light. Einstein's laws, this is in parentheses, Einstein's laws apparently still hold in this alternate version of reality. As for what lies underneath the disk of Earth, this is unknown, but most flat earthers believe it is composed of rocks. The website is theflatearthsociety.org, and you have fun with that. Now, if you like the Flat Earth Society website, you're going to love this one. It's fixedearth.com. It was sent in to me by Ken, and the website says this: exposing the false science idol of evolutionism and proving the truthfulness of the Bible from creation to heaven. And here's the gist of the website. The Earth is not rotating, nor is it going around the sun. Today's cosmology fulfills an anti-Bible religious plan disguised as science. The whole scheme, from Copernicanism to Big Bang-ism, is a factless lie. Those lies have planted the truth-killing virus of evolutionism in every aspect of man's knowledge about the universe, the Earth, and himself. Okay, the Earth is not moving. Gotta check into this real quick. Hang on. Okay, here's a book, I guess, that the site's author has written. The Earth is not moving. Over 400 years of deception exposed. Okay, there is no proof that the Earth rotates on an axis daily and orbits the sun annually. All calculations for eclipses, the space program, navigation, satellite movements, anything that demands precision and accuracy are based on a non-moving Earth. Boiled down, heliocentric math is the same as geocentric math. Mathematics has been invented specifically to uphold Copernicanism. No experiment has shown the Earth to be moving, much less at 30 times rifle bullet speed in the alleged solar orbit and 250 times RBS around a fantasized galaxy and 3 trillion times RBS expanding universe velocity from an alleged Big Bang. Multiple experiments have shown the Earth to be stationary. Revisionist history reveals the roles that Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, Newton, Einstein, Sagan, etc. have played in foisting this great deception on mankind. The logic against a moving Earth is overpowering. The Bible says that the Earth is not moving and cannot be moved. FixedEarth.com. I'm beginning to lose faith in humanity. Again, I'm starting to have that sinking, sad feeling in my gut. Oh, we're circling the drain, people. Just terrifying that these people and these websites exist. Emily sent this one in. It's publicslippers.com. It's a website devoted to people who wear slippers in public. She also said there's a website called isbeeravegetable.com. Well, of course, beer's a vegetable. What kind of question is that? Matt sent in a message and said, I'm sure some of your other meme-savvy listeners must have already submitted this, but I figured I would ensure it comes to your attention. This is by far the most batshit insane thing that has ever directed photons into my eyes. And the website is GabrielleChana.com. The website is really difficult to describe. And honestly, at first blush, I feel kind of weird looking at it because I almost feel like I'm looking at the acting out, the manifestation of some real mental illness. This is not just new age woo. This is not just somebody who's kind of out there, someone who's kind of a free spirit and has sort of a few skills to put up something on a website somewhere, because this is like a 1990s era Prodigy bulletin board. It's all boxes and text and that's it. But as I see the text here, I really wonder if we're seeing someone who's got some issues, some real issues. At first blush, you can see she's got a real obsession with Brent Spiner. Brent Spiner's the actor who played Data in the classic television show Star Trek: The Next Generation. And many of her headlines have to do with Brent Spiner. And apparently, according to the website, she believes that she has in her words, a brain-to-brain connection with Brent Spiner. She is also a huge enemy of Laurie McBride, who she sees as trying to mentally infiltrate Brent Spiner's brain or something. I mean, whoa. She's got photographs of Jesus. She's got a reference to Oswald Chambers, my utmost for his highest. And right on the front page in this large autoplay window from YouTube is Robert Preston and Shirley Jones from a scene in the classic musical The Music Man. Just bizarre. GabrielleChana.com is the domain. But again, I went to the website, so you don't have to, okay? Jody sent a message in and said, here's an oldie, but a goodie. It's origamiboulder.com. Origamiboulder.com. The Origami Boulder Company. You buy wadded up paper now. And there's one photograph on the website, and it's a brown box, a little wooden box, and inside is just a piece of wadded up paper, the kind of paper you would toss in the trash can. Wadded paper origami boulder with haiku and bamboo display stand, $29. So I guess they just wad up a piece of paper and throw it in a box. It's a funny gag. And people purchase this to the tune of, I guess the boulder itself, just a wadded up piece of paper, is $10. If you get the wadded up piece of paper with a haiku, it's $15. Origami Boulder Performance Art Option, no product. There's no actual product. What is that? I'm not going to click the link to buy it. Is it a video of somebody who is wadding up a piece of paper? That's $3. Or you can get it inside this little wooden box, a piece of wadded up paper that they call an origami boulder, to the tune of $29. I can't help but think that with so many people willing to buy this kind of thing, even as a gag, it's kind of genius. It's sort of like the pet rock, right? Who came up with this? And I would be curious to see how many origami boulders this company has sold. Anyway, if you're curious, the domain is origamiboulder.com. Area code 269. You're on the Thinking Atheist Radio podcast. Who's this?
Hi, Amber from Michigan.
We're talking about the weirdest websites in the world. What weird website do you have for us today?
Well, it's NAMBLA.org. It's NAMBLA.org.
What is the website? What does it do?
Well, NAMBLA stands for North American Man-Boy Love Association, which actually, like, a lot of people think that the website is not real, but they are, in fact, a real group. And I recently just heard about them when my friend Justin was in a public debate on same-sex marriage. And his opponent brought up NAMBLA. His opponent claimed that most gay rights organizations support NAMBLA. And I didn't know who that was, so my husband told me what that was, and I had to look it up. It's kind of crazy.
I've heard of these guys, NAMBLA, and if you go to their website, I just pulled it up, it does have kind of a rainbow logo at the top. North American Man-Boy Love Association. So they want to make it legal for men to have sex with underage boys. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. They are working, I think, kind of discreetly now. They are working, lobbying to remove or repeal age of consent laws. So
this is
they want it to be
more
legal.
than mildly horrifying here, Amber.
Yeah, yes, it is. So it's kind of embarrassing that this is the topic I'm talking to you about, but I just thought it was crazy.
I'm looking at there's a link. What is man-boy love? Bear with me, Amber. Let me just read this out loud, okay?
Yeah.
To explain man-boy love today, one must first explain what it is not. It is not what you view on television or read in newspapers. It's not what you hear on Oprah or Geraldo, nor is it the propaganda put out by police and politicians. It's the love of a man for a boy and of a boy for a man. Enjoyable, consensual, beautiful. And there's a bunch of talk about diversity, attraction between men and boys, mentoring, friendship, tradition. It's very nebulous language. I don't see anything that is overtly sexual. It's more about love, but it's hard to really sort of pin it down. Perhaps that's a consequence of the lawyers or something, or maybe public pressures. It's hard to really say.
I think a lot of it is public pressure, but they've been around. I Googled this. I was looking it up once this was brought to my attention. Like I said, in this debate, because it was such a ridiculous claim that this group is supported by all of these gay rights organizations, which is absolutely not true. And so I Googled this and looked it up, and it turns out that, they've been in court quite a bit. ACLU actually defended NAMBLA, but only for their free speech rights, not obviously for their right, to have sex with children. So, but yeah, it's their website, actually, their claim is that they're about the empowerment of youth. But when you look at some of the stuff that they're actually promoting, and they do like a prison outreach for pedophiles, and they want the age of consent to be removed so that, they mention like the age of 8, boys being the age of 8, being allowed to consent, which is just absurd. So,
from the website, no group has been harder hit by the scapegoating trend than man-boy lovers. If ensnared in the system, we, both men and boys, are subject to a litany of injustices, forced, quote, therapies, long prison sentences, impossible terms for parole, lifetime registration and community notification, and for some, indefinite confinement after their sentence has been served. A man may be subjected to any or all of these things for so much as touching the leg of a teenage boy, even if it was in response to the boy's own request. The boy's intentions, actions, and experience of the event are not considered at all in determining the man's fate. This system needlessly destroys the lives of thousands of men and boys each year. And there's a lot of legal stuff, a lot of articles and blog stuff. Articles about psychology, culture, art, literature, music, poetry, and a whole lot more. It is nambla.org for those who are sort of morbidly curious. Amber, thanks for bringing this weird website to our attention today.
I'd like to say you're welcome, but
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things. Thanks for showing it to us. It's horrifying.
No problem. Anytime.
No, I appreciate you being a part of the broadcast today. It means a lot.
All right. Thanks, Seth. Nice talking to you.
Here's another religious-themed website. It was sent in by Nick, who said this. He said, I found this one quite a few years ago when I was still in religion, and I was appalled. I'm not sure if I was more appalled by the atrocious web design or the content. I wish I understood why the real crazy people absolutely fail at web design. There is a low-quality MP3 of some terribly performed hymn that plays in the background if you have the right plugins. I hope you don't. The website he gave me was demonbuster.com. In fact, his had an extension on it, demonbuster.com/candles. The website is a deliverance manual. And there's a sign on the website that says demons, and it has a big cross out through it, like no demons allowed. And there's a section on candles that, with your permission, I will read to you now. It says this, quote, Hurricane Katrina came through here on August 29th, 2005. We were without power for 5 days and 5 hours. We never used candles, but had regular batteries for the radio and rechargeable batteries that kept their charge for night lighting. Warnings on the news was not to use candles because of possible fires. Elsewhere on our website, we talk about objects in your home that can be hosts for demons. Candles can also be a host. A former African witch doctor who practiced witchcraft for over 20 years, said that demons are attracted to the substance candles are made out of. Candles were part of his witchcraft. It doesn't matter what color, shape, or smell they have. When lit, the smell of the candle also calls on another big-time demon. Is it a wonder why the candle business is in the billions of dollars a year? No wonder, too, that so many churches have candles all over the place. Get rid of all your candles. You may just be getting rid of some of your problems. This also pertains to incense. For those Bible researchers who read that candles were mentioned in the Bible, look in your Strong's Concordance. The original term is lamp, oil, or oil lamp, not candle. The menorah tradition goes back to 165 BC. They did not use candles, but used oil. After you get rid of the candles, command all the demons to leave you and your property in the name of Jesus, just in case, all caps. What if the lights go out, you say? Use a flashlight. You still want candles? Look at www.4, that's the number 4lf.com to see rechargeable battery-operated candle lights. Demonbuster.com. I wonder what the main website, just real fast, let me take a look at the main webpage here. Demonbuster.com. Jesus is Lord. Free delivery, in parentheses, deliverance at demonbuster.com. Go ye into all the world. This website has been there. Jesus commanded all believers to cast out demons. Demons. The whole thing is just, wow. And talk about a 90s era prodigy website. Whoa. How can you and do have demons? Everyone has demons, no exceptions. So this includes all Christians, more scriptures, more talk about demons. Yeah, whoa. It's actually an assault on the eyes. Demonbuster.com. Nick, thanks for bringing that to our attention tonight. Here's one that's not religion or science-based. It's just a what the hell kind of a website. It was sent in by Christian. DavidPrince.org shop, where he sells hand-carved wooden toothpicks that can cost the measly price of $3,000. All right, let's go check it out. DavidPrince.org/shop, SHOPPE. And he has like a numbered list with photographs of different carvings of toothpicks that he sells. Looks like the starting price is 25 cents. There's one for $2, $4, $7, $15. The prices continue to go up. He has, there it is, $3,564.57 if you would like to purchase toothpick number 110. For the record, the photograph looks exactly like toothpick number 1, which sold for 25 cents. I have no idea what this person is about or what they are doing. DavidPrince.org/shop, SHOPPE. I did some digging on my own just to find some entertaining and interesting websites out there, and there are some bizarre and interesting and sometimes amusing and actually really good ideas depending on where you look. There's one website for those who enjoy kind of a rainy day at home, right? The rain relaxes you. Well, there's a website. You can go to rainymood.com and it turns your whole screen into like a rainy window. You see the droplets coming down And I guess you can hear the raindrops, and you can even choose music or listen to music while the rain is coming down. Some smooth, soothing raindrops. It's rainymood.com. There's another almost indescribable website. It's called OMG Laser Guns pewpewpew.com, and it's PEW. OMG Laser Guns pewpewpew.com. If you go to the website, and I'm there right now, you are in control of a squirrel. The squirrel has like a space helmet on, is holding a laser ray gun, and has a backpack, and you just fire lasers. Is there something that you're supposed to be firing at? I mean, what's the purpose of it? There's no target. I have no idea what this website is about. OMG Laser Guns pewpewpew.com. And it links to another website called wayofthesquirrel.org. Wow. Next up on the line, I have a weird website from Haley. Haley, thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
All right, we met at the Free Thought Alliance conference this weekend, and you immediately brought to my attention that there was a website that would be perfect for tonight's show, and I figured maybe you could tell the story better than anybody. So what's the website?
So it's actually called the Breatharian Institute of America. It's just absolutely insane. It's a gentleman named Wiley Brooks, and he perpetuates this notion that you can live off of innata, or innadia, I believe it's called. It's Latin for fasting. He believes you can get your nutrition from sunlight and double quarter pounders with cheese.
Wait, hang on. He believes that you don't need food, only sunlight, unless the food is a double quarter pounder with cheese.
Which he believes is a third dimension food. He believes we're in the third dimension and that our true dimension is the fifth dimension. We're just living on Earth.
All right, hang on. I'm pulling the website up. Breatharian.com. And this is just one guy, Wiley
I believe so.
Brooks.
Yeah.
He is invoking the Lord thy God and creator of the universe, the king of health and wealth. The ascension of the world did happen right on schedule, December the 21st, 2012. There will be a limited amount of time or a grace period for people of the earth worlds to learn how to survive these new energies. So he's kind of a doomsday prophet then, huh?
A little bit. There are different breatharians out there and different breatharian sort of theories, but he seems to come up quite a lot. And I was able to find a Wikipedia page on him, and it seems legit. It doesn't seem like a hoax or a joke. Could be wrong, but...
No food. Unless it's the McDonald's.
No, unless you're first starting out. He tries to make it a gradual process because, of course, you can't just live off of nothing right away, according to breatharians. So Diet Coke is also called liquid light to him.
I'm looking this up. Hang on. Breatharian. Yeah. Because, of course, I'm thinking the same thing that you and probably the vast majority of the audience is. This is not a religion one does long term, right? If you
no, it's intended to be a lifestyle.
Well, how do you not eat as a lifestyle? It makes no sense.
I've seen a couple of Nat Geo specials on this and various things like that, and it's BS. But they live on very little food and become sick and have a lot of health issues as a consequence. And scientists know about this; they're aware of it, and they call it dangerous pseudoscience, of course. So it's a problem where it exists.
Right, and they're probably doing it under the guise of it's natural. We're receiving nutrients from the sun. The warmth and beauty of the sunlight is all the sustenance we need. And then they probably look gaunt and skeletal and just horrible after a few weeks of this.
Mr. Brooks was actually spotted leaving a 7-Eleven apparently with a Slurpee and some cream cheese. So I don't know how committed he is to.
Oh, that's just sinful right there.
Apparently, there are also exorbitant fees associated with this. He charges anywhere from 100,000 to supposedly $1 billion is what the Wikipedia site references.
If you have $1 billion laying around and you'd like to be a breatharian and support the cause, just toss it over to Wiley's direction. I'm sure he will not protest.
And he's been around since 1980. So,
God. Well, if he's been around since 1980, I guarantee you the man's not eating sunlight. You know what I'm saying? He's
very
definitely
gone.
hitting the nacho blowout somewhere, when nobody's looking. There's something going on. So.
And when you dig through there are a number of things that stand out. But if I could read one real quick, this is maybe the best one I found. He says, at the first part of this million years of fun, that's what he calls the period we're in now, everybody got raped up, and in the third, fads and sensations, quote unquote. There's no, that's not me messing it up or writing it down wrong. It's just full of all kinds of things, and you could spend hours on there just going through, chopping it up and parsing it. And
Breatharian.com. We'll spend a little time on this one. Haley, thanks for the heads up. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Seth.
While Haley was finishing up there, I managed to find a rationalwiki.org article on breatharianism. It says, breatharianism is the old New Age idea that one can live without food and drink and subsist only off of pranic, P-R-A-N-I-C, pranic light. According to practitioners, pranic light is accurate channeled information from a huge invisible spaceship hovering over North America. Breatharianism frequently involves sun gazing in the dubious belief that nourishment can be gained directly from the sun's energy through the eye, even though it is not a photosynthesizing organ. This is likely to be just a woo-based explanation of energy, which has little or nothing to do with real definitions of energy as a state function of what can perform work. As with most supposed techniques of its type, proponents claim that the arts of breatharianism take years to master. Usually, this sort of excuse allows proponents to ignore evidence based on people trying and failing at the technique. It clearly requires a great deal of courage and self-discipline to be able to keep a straight face while talking about staring at the sun as a viable solution to the world's starvation problems. Don't try it. Staring at the sun is extremely dangerous and can cause blindness. Oh, look, I don't mean to spend too much time on it. They actually have an article or column that says, how do they survive? Let's explore this for just a second. There are people who practice breatharianism or sun gazing who seem to live quite normal lives. How do they survive? In the first instance, anyone claiming to live on light and or air alone is most certainly lying. In 1983, most of the leadership of the movement in California resigned when Wiley Brooks, a notable proponent of breatharianism, was caught sneaking into a hotel and ordering a chicken pie. Under controlled conditions where people are actually watched to see if they can do it without sneaking some real food, they failed. The second possible answer to how do they survive is that they don't. Most of the time, whenever breatharianism hits the news, it isn't because one of the leaders and proponents have been caught cheating, but because one of the followers has died of extreme malnutrition. Stories sufficient to be nominated for a Darwin Award. Again, the website is breatharian.com. And thanks to Haley for bringing that to our attention. Brian from North Carolina said, I've been loving the hell out of the podcast for about a year now, and I enjoyed meeting you when you came to Raleigh. I'm going back to North Carolina here in a few months, man. Hope to meet you there. He said, as soon as you mentioned you wanted to do a show on the weirdest stuff on the web, I knew you needed to be introduced to the biggest bucket of batshit crazy I have ever encountered. It's a site and YouTube channel called Spirit Science, and it's best summed up by their YouTube video, The Human History Movie. In the first couple of minutes of the video, the narrator tells us that human history has been greatly distorted and misunderstood because we, quote, rounded the curve on the precession of the equinox. It then proceeds to say we have no explanation for how the pyramids were built, and that the pyramids line up perfectly to Orion's belt and some other stuff. The video then makes a series of nosebleed-inducing hairpin turns and gish gallops, whereby the narrator tells us that the Egyptian god Thoth explained that sacred nodes on the island of Atlantis led to warlike Martians and Hebrews from the future coming to Earth to help nurture a fledgling but psychic human race. Then it starts to get weird. My fiance can't watch more than about 10 minutes of it before the crazy starts to stress her out. But I find myself unable to look away from the 100-car pileup of the brain hurt headed straight toward me at 90 miles a minute. All right, he gave me the website here. It's thespiritscience.net. Pasting it in. Let's take a peek, shall we? Ooh, wow, there's a Jennifer Lawrence-ish looking character with blue, flamey hair and blue eyes gazing at me. How the power wall can change the world. Revolutionary beekeeping box harmonizes mankind with bees. Panic to freedom. You know what? I'll let you go there on your own. Thespiritscience.net. It's weird how a lot of these websites sort of blend together after a while. Here's a website that totally blew my mind and really kind of freaked me out. Go to Zoom Quilt, Z-O-O-M quilt.org. And this entire website is a constant and perpetual zooming in to an image to reveal other images. Like ad infinitum, like it does not ever stop. And it is mesmerizing, and it kind of weirds me out because it just never stops. If you see a vista filled with trees, you zoom in. Before you know it, you're in a tiny nook of the tree. Inside the nook is a whole other vista. You go inside that, inside there. I can't even describe what I am looking at and do it any real justice whatsoever. You really kind of have to see it, and it's actually worth a look. It's really wild. Zoomquilt.org. And whoever put this together, just wow. Here's another one that kind of blew my mind. It's called anasomnia.com, anasomnia.com. And when you look at it, you may think that it's going to be one of those websites that kind of gives you one of those, it's like a practical joke site, right? It makes you look at things and all of a sudden something jumps out and scares the crap out of you. It's not one of those websites, but it is really weird. It's a little bit creepy, and it's extremely creative. And I stared at the damn thing for probably 10 minutes before I finally moved on to something else. But it's like a pencil drawing on your screen of a little girl sleeping in bed. The website does ask you for access to the webcam that you have on your computer. And so what happens is that when it instructs you to turn the lights off, the webcam sees the lights go off and something happens. And it is fascinating and mesmerizing, and somebody must have spent forever putting it together. If you are curious, the website is anasomnia.com. I saw a list at mandatory.com online that listed weird dating sites. You know, we live in an era where people can connect via websites that link up their interest and sort of help them filter through all the compatibility issues and what they are about. And let's find somebody who would be great to share life with, right? eHarmony, Match.com. There's even an atheist personals page, I think. Well, there are some other sort of hookup sites or dating sites or whatever you want to call them sites that use other criteria or other themes to link people looking for love. I am not making this up. These are actually listed and findable online. You can go to dateagolfer.com. Maybe you're looking for someone who likes to swing a 7-iron. Diaper Mates, Diaper Lover Personals. Diaper Mates is the internet's largest free personals community for adult babies and diaper lovers. Gluten-free singles. Are you gluten-free? You can find someone who eats just like you do. Clown dating. Everyone loves a clown. Let a clown love you. Equestrian singles, 420 singles, mullet passions. Do you wear a mullet? Business in the front, party in the back? There is a dating site for you. Sea Captain, find your first mates. DateMyPet.com. It's not enough to make sure that you and the other person are compatible. What if your pets don't get along with each other? There is a filter for that. Herpes fish? There are plenty of fish in the sea. I'm reading from the website. Plenty of fish in the sea, but not as many if you have herpes. This site eliminates all the awkward conversations about your STD, and you can meet others with the same condition. Date skaters, if you're a skater boy or skater girl. Amish dating. Hang on, I got to go there. Amish dating. AmishDating.com. Holy shit, there's a website. And on the website is an Amish couple in a horse and buggy cruising down the lane. How can they have a website if they're Amish and they reject electricity? It makes no sense. They can't use light switches, but they have a website? If you're a religious Amish single that hasn't met the right person yet, you should try out our online service called Amish Dating. You'll encounter simple Amish singles that are suitable living without the conveniences of modern-day technology. It's a pretty bare-bones website, but if you're curious, it does exist, AmishDating.com. There's a few others for farmers, for vampire lovers, for nudists. Wow, just knock yourself out there. There is chatwithyourself.com, the loneliest chat room on the internet. You are now chatting with yourself. It's just you here, nobody else. You can have a lonely conversation, rant about life, tell a story, or whatever, really. And at the top of the screen, it says, lonely people chatting 11, creepy people watching you 0. And I guess this window is just a place for you to talk to yourself online. Chatwithyourself.com. Here's a freaky one. I saw this one on cracked.com. It's veryman.expert. VERY man.expert. They call it the internet destination of your dreams if your dreams are what the rest of us refer to as David Lynch movies. In just a few short minutes, you too can create your own jiggling freak. And the user interface couldn't be simpler. All you have to do is follow the easy-to-understand customization tab on the right side of the screen. And they put this screenshot of, I don't know what language or what scribbles these are. It's unintelligible, right? The next section contains sliders that control attributes like human pouch and father's chest and butt amount, all of which further rip apart your little man like he's soaring through the physics-shattering event horizon of a black hole, only to come out on the other side as a plaything on some dude's browser. If you are curious, it is weird and wild and worth a look. Veryman.expert. And I have a feeling a few members of our audience are probably going to be still using this website hours and hours from now. We could probably just keep this up for weeks, couldn't we? One weird website after another, but I think we'll probably go ahead and call it a night, shall we? Thanks to everybody for their submissions. It's been kind of nice to do something frivolous. It's nice to distract ourselves with something that isn't going to change the world, just hang out and lighten things up. So thanks for sort of taking that journey with me tonight. I've got some cool stuff on the podcast roster. I'm still securing dates for these, but John Davidson, veteran television personality, he's guest hosted for The Tonight Show. He was one of the hosts of the game show Hollywood Squares. He was one of the 3 television hosts for a huge 1970s broadcast called That's Incredible. Well, he's still around. He's still on the entertainment circuit. And he recently came out with a video on the Openly Secular website declaring that he did not believe in gods and he believed that religion was damaging. Now, this is pretty impressive. And so I had a chance to sort of tap him on the shoulder and ask John if he'd be interested in doing a radio show with me to tell his story, to talk about his history in television and his perspectives as a secular person. So he's going to be doing a radio show with us in the coming weeks. I've also got Shelley Segal coming up. She's just got a new album that's released. I just love Shelley to death. She's just a precious person, hugely talented person. And so we're planning to do a show together. I'm going to see if I can get her to sort of grab a guitar and maybe do some live tunes for us on the radio. And that's going to be coming up, I think, near the end of May. So just check the website or the Blog Talk Radio page, and I should have some dates on those before too awfully long, but it's going to be awesome. Thank you so much for listening. Now that the broadcast is over, it's time to get your free snacks at our sponsor at Nature Box, with over 100 options to choose from. The bold flavors you crave, you can feel smarter about snacking. Go to naturebox.com/thinkingatheist and start your free trial tonight. That's naturebox.com/thinkingatheist. And I'll see you next week.
Follow The Thinking Atheist on Facebook and Twitter. Watch dozens of original videos on the Thinking Atheist YouTube channel. And visit our website for resources, links, contact information, the editor's blog, and more. thethinkingatheist.com.